of risks are number one on insurers' minds right now. When you look at the major causes of losses, it's these widespread incidents, hello, CrowdStrike, that are causing outages. And therefore, there are those business interruption claims that trickle in over time. So that in turn is causing changes to cyber insurance policies. So for those of you in insurance, I'm sure you've already got your finger on the pulse of this one. For those of you that are procuring cyber insurance, take a look at the changes that are happening. Make sure you understand your coverage, particularly for cases like this, because it is evolving in order to reduce that risk. So again, CrowdStrike, of course, this summer was a perfect example where, and that was an accident. That wasn't even on purpose from what we could tell. That was a perfect example where a glitch in security software caused this huge ripple effect, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of outages. I don't know about you guys. I was stranded in Boston for a couple extra days, and I love Boston, so that was fine. But it was definitely, it had real world impacts. So what can you do to take control of your own risk? Well, number one, again, Blue Yonder was a supplier that had a lot of downstream impacts. So make sure you are understanding your suppliers, not just your cyber suppliers. We're not just talking about tech suppliers. We're talking about all suppliers. Inventory, prioritize, make sure you're vetting them, you're understanding how resilient they are, assign responsibility, and then follow up. Our landscape, the cybersecurity landscape, is changing so quickly. You can't just set it and forget it when it comes to vendor vetting. You really need to check in on an annual basis with your top suppliers. Many organizations have hundreds, if not thousands of suppliers, and so you may not be able to wrap your arms around everything, but again, get those top priority suppliers. And consider using a SaaS platform to track that stuff. I know we recommend VendMinder and deploy that for our clients, and it's been a very effective tool. Okay, we're also, speaking of security software that has caused cybersecurity issues, secure file transfer tools are continuing to be targeted really by the same groups. I'm actually going to flip ahead here well, maybe I won't flip ahead. The latest news is that the Clop ransomware gang has attacked the Cleo file transfer service. And we've seen case after case where enterprises are filing insurance claims, where they're seeing outages, in addition to potential data loss. Here's the Clop leak site. So they announced that they have the data of many companies who use Cleo. They were able to exploit a vulnerability, a zero-day vulnerability. And if those companies didn't pay them the ransom, then they were going to start leaking their data and putting the name on the list. And they recognize that this is something companies are concerned about. Now, a lot of the supposed victims are pushing back and saying, actually, we did not get hacked. And so it really is a us versus them scenario with the hackers versus the supposed victims in this case. So what happened here? Matt, you put together this slide. You want to talk through it?
Sure. If you recall what we talked about with MoveIt or GoAnywhere or Accellion, I mean, this is kind of a broken record style of attack. There was a vulnerability in the Cleo software, 3 specific products from Cleo, Harmony, Lexicon, and VL Trader. Clop was able to use that to get unrestricted access to those servers. They were able to then download that data, and then, as is kind of the case anymore, they went ahead and decided they were going to publish it on their website if ransoms weren't paid. In fact, they cleared out the rest of their website to make room for this, which I thought was kind of interesting. But yeah, there are big impacts for this. I mean, there are service outages for those file transfer products. Organizations, especially ones that handle sensitive data, rely on those. Obviously, the data is stolen. And now we need to go through the process of doing data breach investigations. And oftentimes this will, as we've seen with other companies, this may not be done by the actual victim themselves, the actual company that got hacked. You may be on the hook for performing that investigation and discovering what data was actually contained in that server, what might have been stolen, and what your risk actually looks like.
Yeah, so there's 2 pieces of this that I want to dig into. One of it is the software vulnerability. So we have seen case after case where there's a zero-day vulnerability in secure file transfer software, or really anything that you use. Maybe it's hosted in the cloud, maybe it's on-prem. This isn't going to change. 2 of the things that we called out as top risks right now are software exploits, where they're looking for those perimeter systems, and then we're seeing a trend of even more rapid exploitation following zero-day announcements. And part of the reason for this is because we've seen so much leaked source code over the years. And anytime hackers can get a hold of source code, They can quickly comb through it, find vulnerabilities, and boom, create new exploits. So that's one issue where these data breaches are leading to more data breaches. And often, breach tech companies do not need to report if their software has been stolen, if their source code has been stolen. That's starting to change. It's actually been changing quite a bit over the past couple of years. We're seeing them proactively report that, or we're seeing the criminals themselves report that they've got the source code for a tech company. And again, Hacker AI is helping the criminals do this faster. So check out our software supply chain webinar from September. It's also on YouTube. And we walk you through how we found leaked source code on the dark web. And then I ran it through WormGPT and it immediately found vulnerabilities. So it identified several vulnerabilities and then it went on to create exploits for those vulnerabilities as well. And all of this took seconds. So that's not going to change. What needs to change is how we're protecting ourselves. I still talk to companies today that are doing monthly vulnerability scans, and that's not enough, you guys. It's really important to be doing, in my opinion, daily vulnerability scans. You need a tool that's doing continuous vulnerability management. And we also have to recognize that it takes a while for vulnerability scanners to detect new vulnerabilities, and that's where penetration testing comes in. So make sure you're doing manual pen testing of your systems, particularly if there's a new major vulnerability. Check that out. Include web apps, include cloud apps. We still see pen tests where we gain access by taking advantage of Log4j. These vulnerabilities are still out there. They often can be patched. They're just overlooked. So make sure you're checking for those on a regular basis. The second thing that I want to talk about with the Cleo case, as Matt alluded to, is that history is repeating itself. So we've seen case after case where file transfer software is targeted. Why? Because it's kind of the perfect target for criminals. It's usually internet-facing software. It is out there and it has your crown jewels in it. It has super sensitive data just collected. So it's really just perfect for extortion cases. Excellion was one that we saw in 2021. That was the Clop ransomware gang. Sound familiar? GoAnywhere software similarly was exploited in 2023. Obviously, we saw MoveIt, which has led to over 95 million people's information getting breached and over 2,700 organizations. 2 of the top 10 data breaches last year, according to the Identity Theft Resource Center, 2023, were caused because of MoveIt. So Maximus Inc. and PBI Research Services, their names were on this list because of the MoveIt transfer vulnerability. So it's your name in the headlines, even though it's somebody else's software. The types of data that hackers are interested in selling are really all over the map. Here's a chart. You can see that personal information, PII, is of course bought and sold on a regular basis. Hackers can use it to commit fraud. We're also seeing corporate databases. They'll just suck out your data, sell it in bulk. And now hackers can use AI tools to rapidly create data products from whatever they find. So again, keep in mind that the sale of stolen information is only going to continue to proliferate, and hackers are going to get better at creating data products as a result of this. So remember, as we say every year, this is just true, data is hazardous material. The more you collect, the more risk you have. And that, I'm sure, is the case in Cleo, in MoveIt, in any of these other secure file transfer tools. I think millions more people had their data stolen in MoveIt because people did not have file retention policies. So you throw data up there to transfer it and it sits for weeks or months or years. So a very simple thing you can do to reduce your risk is just to put a retention time on these tools. Are you really going to need that after a month? So make that change. Don't walk to your IT team and say, hey, do we have a retention time on ShareFile, on whatever your favorite file transfer tool is? And if you don't, add one. Thank you so much, everyone. Again, this is Sherry Davidoff, CEO of LMG Security.
And I'm Matt Duran, Director of Training and Research for LMG Security. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out at any time. We would love to hear from you. You can reach us at info@lmgsecurity.com, find us on LinkedIn, or follow us on Twitter. Thanks again for joining, and we'll see you next time.